Hi class. No selfie today. I'm just going to go straight to the notes on combining integers. Combining is just a better way of saying adding and subtracting. I don't like saying adding and subtracting because I like to change, and I recommend we change all subtraction problems into adding the opposite problems. So I can make everything an addition problem if I wanted to. But for now, let's do some easy stuff. Let's go through these 4 examples. Go ahead and do it on your own. Pause the video. You can use a number line if you need to. Like if I wanted to do 6 minus 4, I can go right 6 and left 4. And then I'll see my answer. If you already know the answer, then you don't have to show the work. Today is about not having to use the number line or the chips and coming up with a good summary. Okay, so 6 and 4 is 10. 6, right 6, left 4 is 2. 6 and a negative 4 is 2, or 6 minus 4 is 2. A negative 6 and a positive 4, which looks the same but it's not, is a negative 2, because there's more negatives. And a negative 6 with a negative 4 makes a negative 10. This could be written a negative 6 minus 4, or a negative 6 and, or plus a negative 4. Okay, so don't forget I got blanks here. Positive goes to the right on the number line, and negative goes to the left. Just a little bit of a review there. So these look similar. This one's a 10, and this one's a negative 10. This one's a 2, and this one's a negative 2. I would put these in a group, because they have the same number opposite signs. And I put these in a group, they have the same number opposite signs. When I do this, when does my answer come out positive? When does my answer come out negative? So this one I did 6 and 4 is 10. This one I did 6 negatives and 4 negatives is 10 negatives. So I'm basically, when I see that these signs are, I'm not going to write down a plus plus or a minus minus, because that's more work. I'm going to make it as simple as possible. When the signs are the same, you just do what with the numbers and then keep the sign. You add the numbers and then you keep the sign. As opposed to these, this is like a difference question. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 4 is 2 here, but there's more negatives. That's why the answer is negative. When the signs are different, you do the difference. You take the sign of the bigger, not the bigger number, because that's not always appropriate, but the bigger absolute value. And if you don't remember what absolute value is, I'll go over that. When I say, I'm very specific when I say absolute value, because is negative 6 a bigger number than positive 4? No, it definitely isn't. It's lower. It's less. But when you do the absolute value, it is. Absolute value, if you remember, is the bars written on the outside of a number. Sometimes I would say the bigger absolute value is the dominating number, and we use those bars on it, and it means the distance from 0. And distance is never negative. Okay, so if I went left 6 blocks, I traveled 6 blocks. The distance is never negative. Okay, don't forget, if there's no sign in front of a number, it is assumed to be positive. Can't do that with negatives. There's no assuming. And don't forget, we're going to do these problems without the number lines and chips. That was our old way. Our 2 ways of doing it before is with a number line or with chips. When we have different signs, we're going to want to put the dominating number up top. And we still want to do subtractions, adding the opposite. That's why I put it in capitals, because it's super importante. So, for example, if I write 10 minus 5, I want to see you change it to 10 and the opposite of a regular 5. Or it gets harder, that's why I want to get in the habit when it's easy. 4 minus negative 5 is the same as 4 plus a regular 5. Okay, so I want to make note of this because in the next lesson I'm going to let you use the calculator. This would be the subtraction button or the minus. And in the calculator, this is not another subtraction. That is a negative button. There are different buttons on the calculator, and I'll get to that when I finish this lesson. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to try some problems. We're going to start off by using the notes. This is also written in the mega notes. I highly recommend you take several looks at the mega notes because it's a nice summary of the entire chapter. It's the best thing to study before a test in addition to any review. All right, we're going to try a problem. You are writing this as you go in Cami. So again, I got the number line there if you need it. I don't think we have to keep writing this, but right, left. So same signs, add, different signs, subtract. So let's go through this whole page and figure out which ones are we going to do same sides add or different signs subtract. So these signs are different, so we do the difference. These signs are the same, so we're going to add. These signs are different, difference. These signs are different, difference. These have 3 numbers, so you have to do PEMDAS. PEMDAS has parentheses first, then exponents, multiplication or division, depending on which one comes first, addition or subtraction, depending on which one comes first. So we would do these first, and they're different. And we'll see what happens after that. And then we'll get to this. So let's go from the top here. Number 1, different, difference. Which one has the bigger absolute value? This one. So I'm going to write that one on top. And different, difference. 8 minus 6 is 2. But there, we're going to take the sign of the dominating number, or bigger absolute value, which is negative. Different, difference. More negatives. Negatives are going to be left over. Okay, on the next one I have decimals. No big deal, doesn't matter. The signs are the same, so we're going to add. We're going to line up the decimals. Everything in a tenths place we're going to add. 3 and 2 make 5. Negatives with more negatives finish and make negatives. We keep the sign. We keep the sign. Okay? Number 3. These are different, so we need to do the difference. Which one is the dominating number? Put that on top. 10 minus 3 is 7. And the answer is negative because there's more negatives. Okay, we're doing all this without a calculator. We might go back and check. Number 4, different, difference. The bigger absolute value on top. $20 and a negative 14, or 20 minus 14. And there's more positive, so the answer is positive. I'm going to put the positive down this time because I can. And because I want to emphasize we're taking the sign from the bigger absolute value. Okay, over here is going to be more work. So we got to put the bigger number on top, bigger absolute value. Different is different, so we're going to subtract these. You can pause the video if I'm going too fast. This is more positive, so it's positive. Now I'm going to take that number, and these are different, so we have to do the difference again. Bigger absolute value goes on top. And I'm going to have to borrow for this one. There's more negatives, so the answer is negative. Now, remember, I said addition is commutative, so if you wanted to, you could have added the two negatives together and get your negative answer, and then add in the 7.6. You would still get this answer when you're done. Evaluate. Evaluate means give me the numerical answer, so make sure you understand that. Give numerical answer. It's going to come up a lot on tests, so you got to know what they mean when they say that. Give numerical answer. That's what evaluate means. So negative 10 plus x is going to be substituted for. They told me to use 35, so I'm going to put 35 in here. Now let's do what I said last time. Let's do, this is addition. I'm adding these these integers. Let's do the negative 10 and the negative 3 first, because commutative property says I can switch the order of addition. What's 10 negatives added with 3 negatives? That makes 13 negatives. Now, because these signs are the same, I add the numbers and keep the sign. And I still have to add in the 35. These aren't the same. They're different, so I need to do the difference. There's more positives, so my answer is going to be positive. 35 minus 13 is 22, and I'm doing a lot of work, so I box it in. Okay? Then I have some subtraction ones at the bottom. You don't want to forget the change subtraction to adding the opposite. So don't skip any steps. We're going to write add oppo every time I see subtraction. 2 plus opposite of a regular 5 is a negative 5. Now these signs are different, so I do the difference. Put the higher absolute value on top. 5 minus 2 is 3. There's more negatives, so the answer is negative. Now, listen to me carefully here. This is a negative 5 minus 7. That's a subtraction sign, so we're going to change it to adding the opposite. So it's a negative 5 plus the opposite of a regular 7 is a negative 7. These signs are the same. Might help for you to write that stuff down. So I'm going to add the 5 and the 7 to get 12, and I'm going to keep the negative. Then we go over here, 17 minus the absolute value of negative 24. So I'm going to write that out. This is the subtraction sign. The next one is a negative sign, especially if I wanted to use the calculator. So this is PEMDAS. Absolute value is treated like the P in PEMDAS for parentheses. So we're going to do that first. What's the distance from 0 to negative 24? That distance is positive 24. The subtraction sign is still there, and so is the 17. Now I'm going to rewrite the subtraction as adding the opposite. You could not change, we're not doing adding opposite here because we don't do subtraction first, according to PEMDAS. It's parentheses first. So now we're on the subtraction step. There's the add. Here's the opposite. These are different, so we do the difference with the dominating number on top. We get 7. There's more negatives, so the answer is negative. Okay, in the next lesson that you're going to do, you get to use the calculator. So let me go over a little bit of the calculator with you. Let's see. What if I did number 2? And check my answer on the calculator. Negative 2.6. And then it said plus. And when I do stuff in the calculator, I want it to look exactly like the paper. Don't do anything in your head. The whole point of using the calculator is to not have to use your head. So it had a parentheses. You see where I pressed that? Right there above the 8. And then it has a negative 3.2. Negative 3.2. End the parentheses. And, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Let me press the clear button. What did it told me error, and it's flashing right over this. You see how this sign is bigger than that one? This small one was the negative button, which, by the way, was right here. That's where the negative button is, next to the decimal. This one's big. It's supposed to be a negative sign because I'm not subtracting. I'm adding. So I must have pressed the subtract button on accident. So I'm going to change that to a negative, since it's flashing right over it, and press enter. Negative 5.8. Is that what I got? It is. Did it right. I'll mark that right. Okay, so over here I have 2 minus 5. Oops, sorry. 2, this is subtraction that's happening between the numbers, 2 minus 5. So I do 2 minus 5. Enter. Negative 3. See how the subtraction sign is bigger? The negative sign is smaller. Okay, so over here, a lot of people might think subtraction sign is there twice. It's not. Let's see what happens if I put that in. Minus, as soon as I press minus, it wants to ask me, from what? What am I subtracting it from? The last answer? Well, no, I'm not. There's nothing in front of it. So then that's not supposed to be a subtraction. That's supposed to be a negative sign. So that says negative 5, then it says subtract 7. Okay, it's not going to write the sign small on the paper like it is on the calculator. Negative 5 minus 7 is a negative 12, which is what I got. Okay, in the next lesson, when you do the practice on this page you see here, be careful when you write minus or negative or parentheses. And then a couple things I probably should go over. When you see a slash like that, that means divide. And when you see a little tiny 3 up there, that's an exponent. So let me show you what number 15 would look like on your next assignment. So you don't have to watch a second video because you're doing it now. So that says 16. This is a subtraction because it's coming from the 16. Then I have parentheses, 16 divided by, it's different symbol, but it's the same meaning, 2 to the third power. So if I'm going to go upstairs to the exponent, I press this up arrow. And I'm going to put the 3 in. I'm still upstairs. I want to get back downstairs to do my parentheses, so I'm going to press down. Or maybe not. I'll go to the right. It told me to go to the right anyway. And then I'm going to press right parentheses. It looks like it should look. I press enter, and it'll give you the answer. Okay, so you got your one lesson on summarizing without a calculator. If you want to check it with the calculator later, you can. Calculator later. And then on the next lesson, you can use the calculator. See you later. Calculator.